So people have to remember you, and they have to remember what you do, and they have to know that you're here and ready and available to serve them or their friends or their family. And if you are not consistently reminding them in a gentle and non-salesy way, then they're never going to think of you when those opportunities present themselves. So my goal always is to be the resource of the resource. So when anyone, whether they are a past client of mine or they're in my sphere or they're just in my community and they have a thought about real estate, what countertops are in right now, or what's the best color to paint, or, hey, I'm thinking I'm going to be moving soon, I need to get some estimates to replace my floors. I want them to think of me, because then we can start to build that relationship, which will help down the road. So that's what we've always done. And we just continue to do more of it because we know it works.
You're listening to the number one real estate podcast in the world, where we talk with the real estate professionals all across North America about their wins, losses, lessons, and stories help you win in your local market today. My name is Cody from Sheridan Street. I'm joined with Vikram Deol of the Real Estate Sales Academy. Vikram Deol, in the green room, you said I was being very aggressive today, and I don't appreciate that. Today. I really don't appreciate
you're being
lies that
you're being like one of the real estate agents that would always tell me that everything was our fault, that we didn't see their offer because they didn't message us. They didn't tell us that there was an offer.
It is your fault, though.
I don't give a fuck. We had 36 other offers. Fuck them. Like, if you don't know how to deliver an offer, if there's 36 offers and I really wanted my client to win, I would get in my car, I would press the start button, I would put it in reverse, and I would drive my happy ass over to the office with a coffee. I'd be like, hey, here's a little peace offering.
But I don't want to drive 10 miles, bro. 10 miles, that's too far. It's too far.
I like making money.
Too far, though.
Yeah, well, I like to see my clients win, and I like to make money. And if I spend 10 minutes driving to you and I win an offer, guess what? That takes 3 hours of offer negotiation with the client off the table. It then takes another 14 trillion hours of showing homes to the same people over and over again off the table. But it cost me, 17 minutes in my car doing something productive instead of like scrolling through forums bitching about how Zillow's stealing our information, which is like 30 years old.
It's, that's...
But you're aggressive this morning.
I don't know. Based on everything we've discovered so far, and based on the listeners that are listening back on iTunes or Spotify, I'm almost going to guarantee you that they probably think you're the aggressive one today, based on everything you just said.
No, I'm just saying that's how you're acting right now. You're acting like one of those agents that get mad at me that their offer went to spam. And I'm like, sir, did you message us? No. Well, then how are we supposed to know that we're busy, we're selling houses, we're not just looking in spam all day. I was like, anyways, your offer sucked. It was 50K below the worst other offer in there. So,
but it was an offer. What is, before we intro our guests, what is the most exciting thing that's happened in business for you this week? Let's end our banter on a high note.
Yeah. No, dude, hired a really cool guy that came in from a course that we're giving out for free. So cool. He came in, he watched the course. He's like, dude, I love your course. I'm thinking about possibly getting in real estate, but I don't want to, I have a lot of different things at home and I don't really know how to maneuver buyers and sellers because I just can't get out and show houses. He's like, but I want to be helping people in the real estate space. I was like, why don't you be a setter closer for me and I'll train you? And he's like, really? And we started talking. Super cool dude. So he's memorized a new script. We created a new script, outbound script this week. Took a long time to create too. Geez Louise. That was 15 hours of work. Just going back and forth, role playing, updating, having my coach look at it, give feedback on it, role playing, making calls, updating. But the script is super dialed in. It's super money. It's super incongruent with how I operate. And really pumped about that because we already booked a bunch of appointments off of it.
Yeah. Making magic happen this week.
Got to make something happen. What about you, brother?
Yeah, things are good, man. No complaints.
Haven't been robbed lately.
Have we talked about that on the podcast yet?
No,
I don't think we have.
Last week, homie.
It happened last weekend. I don't know. It feels like a lifetime ago. Yeah, no. For those that don't know, if you're not on our email newsletter, I got robbed last week in Bogota. I got punched in the back of the head with Vikram on FaceTime with me. So the moral of the story is a few things. I got a lot of responses in my email. People are like, "Are you okay?" It's really like, I'm like, yeah.
Well, now we've both been punched in the back of the head and had our
in Latin America. We've both been hit.
America.
Yeah,
and we both been together both times. I thought I thought you would have learned from me getting sucker punched and jumped by like 5 dudes for a phone.
Yeah. But I didn't, I was just walking and just like, you get comfortable sometimes. And I wrote about this week about how we can get complacent in business. And I kind of tied it back to, how we have to be consistently aware and consistently aware of our surroundings. But other than, I got my phone back, we're good. I was more concerned about my cell phone number because like my cell phone number is from back in Canada and like everything is tied to that account. Like I couldn't log into my bank account. I couldn't log into Instagram. Like everything wants 2-factor authentication. I'm like, am I going to have to fly back to Canada in order to get a SIM card?
It's such a pain. It was such a pain. Like I still haven't got into all my accounts from December. I'm just like, F it. It's like, you got to re-download and upload and send in your, like a DNA sample and firstborn child. I'm like, I don't got any kids yet that I know about. Like I can't send them to you.
Moral of the story here is like, if you do, like anyone listening to the podcast back, if you do come to Latin America, keep your phone in your pocket. Like, I think that's the big thing. I know your phone got sold out of your pocket. Your phone got sold out of your pocket.
Pockets and zip.
Yeah, exactly. Get zipper pockets. That's actually what I have now when I go to the gym. But yeah, we have, let's transition and intro our guest.
So you're okay. You're okay.
I'm good. I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm like, you're making me relive the trauma of like somebody punching me in the back of the head. Like, that's why I want to intro our guest.
I want to make sure that you don't have that happen again. You got to be aware of your surroundings.
I'm very aware of my surroundings now. It's all good. It's all good. People did warn me. I learned a lesson. It's all good. Got my phone, but I got a phone. I got my phone number back. All is good in the world. But we have a very special guest. We have Karen Cooper here with us today on the Origin Podcast, the #1 real estate podcast in the world. Karen had done... We got connected to Karen through Alex Brackey, a good friend of ours. And Karen has done a ton of business and is crushing it in her local market. Not that much. Has done a good amount of business. Runs a team. And Karen, why don't you give us like kind of high level overview in like 30 seconds, a minute. We'll give you a minute because you've done a lot. A minute, full notes version. How you got into real estate, how long you been in real estate, and what's working. I know, you did cut me off. So, Karen, take it away.
I have to say, this is intense. This is perhaps my most intense podcast experience ever. And I feel like I needed to like down some more coffee before I jumped on here with you guys. So yes, I have been in real estate for 21 years. And I'm not one of those dreaded agents that you run across that says, you should be doing it better because I've been in business 21 years. Yes, I have been in business 21 years, but I've also sold a shit ton of real estate in those 21 years. So I actually have the experience to back it up, not just the years of license itself. So I started in real estate kind of by accident because I was getting laid off from my pharmaceutical industry job and I needed something new to do. And I just so happened to be doing a for sale by owner, selling my own house, buying another house. And I was like, gosh, this real estate thing, this seems kind of easy. Let me do this instead. And that is literally like the 10-second version of how I got into business. I started out on a Rainmaker team. I've been a solo agent. I've been a managing broker. Now I am a team leader. I have had the Platinum Group Real Estate team with my business partner for 8 years. We have sold over $1.2 billion with the B dollars in sales volume since our inception. And I am really happy to be here with you today.
Well, I'm curious before we get into like the other numbers, just from a completely selfish standpoint, because I have no ego, because I'm, very humble. Why was this the most intense podcast that you've been on?
Just a lot of like energy, you two, like, the bickering and, the back and forth, like that's a lot. I'm not used to that when I join somebody else on their show.
Oh, yeah. Is it good or bad?
It's different. Let's just say it's different.
Cody, we're going to have to work on your attitude. Karen, we're excited to have you today. So $1 billion in real estate, 20 years in the industry. Obviously, you've learned some things about team leading. You've learned some things about being a solo agent. You've learned some things about what works, what doesn't work. Right. Let's just get right into it. What's working now for you and your company?
Yeah. What is working for us is doing business by referral. Has always worked for us. And, we double down on that when markets are shifting and adjusting and moving around. And that is working super well. That's our highest performing pillar.
Can we get a little tactical? Because, a lot of people say they work by referrals. And I know because we talk to people, we talk to Sharon, referrals are down industry wide because people aren't transacting as much. And when you give a referral, here's what a lot of people don't understand. When you give a referral, you're actually endorsing somebody. If your systems and processes are slightly off, that person's not going to put an endorsement on you because they don't want that person to come back and be like, dude, you sent me to that restaurant and bro, like the food was great, but the service sucked or this, it was okay. Like nobody wants that when it comes to a big transaction like this. So like, what are you doubling down on?
So we have a keep in touch program that we have developed over many, many, many years. So we are in touch with our clients a good 20 to 30 times a year through a variety of types of media. A lot of the traditional stuff, right? Email, mailers. But we're also doing a lot of social media, phone calls, texting. I mean, these are the things that work for us. It is consistently our highest performing pillar. Our second one right now is actually agent to agent referrals, which is very interesting. We're getting a lot of referrals from other agents, not in our market, but also in our local market, agents who don't feel prepared or capable to handle a particular type of transaction are coming to us. And that's a big win, I think.
I want to tackle the program because if you're comfortable sharing with us how the program works, because you have a team. So I think a lot of, when you said the touch point program, a lot of agents right now in the marketplace, like when you say to them, simply go in and get more referrals, they're like, oh, I'm going to go talk to my mom and dad and they're going to give me a referral. They don't understand we got to break it down more for them. They don't understand specifically what it even means to follow up. Like what are some things that you guys are doing or you're teaching your team in order to have those effective conversations that are creating those referrals?
Well, so people have to remember you and they have to remember what you do and they have to know that you're here and ready and available to serve them or their friends or their family. And if you are not consistently reminding them in a gentle and non-salesy way, then they're never going to think of you when those opportunities present themselves. So we do mailers, we do email newsletters, we do Sharon's Deal of the Week. We love the Deal of the Week. We do events, we do pop buys. We do a lot of different things on social media to connect and build those relationships so that people are thinking of us. My goal always is to be the resource of the resource. So when anyone, whether they are a past client of mine or they're in my sphere or they're just in my community and they have a thought about real estate, what countertops are in right now or what's the best color to paint or, hey, I'm thinking I'm going to be moving soon. I need to get some estimates to replace my floors. I want them to think of me because then we can start to build that relationship, which will help down the road. So that's what we've always done. And we just continue to do more of it because we know it works.
So you actually study the trends? That seems like such a waste of time, Karen.
Study the trends?
Yeah, you said we know like what's in with countertops or do we? Yeah, so you kind of have like a sense of what's going on in the marketplace. Like you kind of have a sense of what's happening in like the design world, where to get stone. Like you're kind of like a resource for these people. That's ridiculous. That seems like
it's not ridiculous because it works. And you naturally get to know this information if you're actually selling houses. Because if you are a listing specialist and you're selling a lot of listings, then you know what are the things that you need to do to prepare your home for market. So we already know where are the places to go. We already know what the buyers are looking for. So it's not like I'm going out and like reading Architectural Digest and then like regurgitating this information.
So I want to pinpoint two things. One thing, if you guys understand human psychology, I kind of was being a little playful with Karen. I'm like, oh, you have to do all these things. And I kind of played it down. Do you guys notice how she instantly came back with an answer? Just like in human psychology, when we play things out. So I guess your house is like, you said kind of small. Oh no, let me tell you how small. You guys, that's how we build a gap, right? So when you're in sales, like you have to be able to do these things regularly so that you can help your prospect. It's just something fun that I didn't realize it would happen like that. What are you actually, so can we go like super tactical? Because Cody and I both have clients, you have clients, your agents. When they call somebody, right? Like the standard call that an agent has with a person they've done a transaction with is typically like, ring, ring. Hey, I'm just calling to check in, see how the house is. Like, what's going on with little Johnny? Yeah. Okay, great. And then the prospect says, oh, what's going on with you now? Business is great. We're crushing it, right? They're always crushing it. Even if they've done 0 deals, they're always crushing it. Things are amazing. Oh, by the way, like, the highest compliment you could pay me would be like a referral. Can you refer me some business? And the guy's like, oh, I'll think about it. Is that how your calls are going, or are they slightly different?
I have never done a call like that in my entire life.
Okay, well, I have.
Here's the thing.
And then one.
And how did that go?
It was so, I was like, I threw that script in the trash. Like, who gave me this garbage?
Because no one talks like that. Like,
right.
You're right. But as a consumer, like, I always think about how do I function as a consumer? And if as a consumer, you come at me with that kind of dialogue and that kind of approach.
Game over.
I love you, Karen.
Yeah. So yeah, no.
What? So why don't you role play? If you're okay with it, Cody, are you okay with a quick role play?
Yeah, let's do it.
Can you just role play like what a conversation would be with the client that, let's say, you closed maybe 6 months ago? Or what is your guys' first contact? Let's do this. What's your first touch point in person with this person after they're closing?
So what we recommend to our team members is within about 2 weeks following closing, or not even actually following closing, following the time that they move in, right? Because we serve in our market. So what we want to do is we want to follow up with them about 2 weeks after they've moved in, just to see how are things going. Are they needing any resources from us? That sort of thing.
So it's a customer service call. So it'd be something like, and I'm just making this up, like ring, ring. Hey, Karen, it's Vikram. Oh, hey, Vic. Hey, I can't believe it's been 2 weeks already. Like, I was just wondering if do you need any kind of resources from us? Like, how's the house? Anything like weird happening? Where the water is, blah, blah, blah. That's kind of the call.
That's the call. Because here's why. What happens is, and I think a lot of the consumers, and I know this from experience of doing this for so long, is often when something is going to go wrong with the house, it happens
right away.
Like within the first 2 weeks, right? And, the hot water heater goes bad or this went wrong. And so what happens? They went from having this relationship with their agent where they've been talking back and forth for like at least 3 months on a practically daily basis, if not talking, texting. Now they've closed on the house. They saw what I got paid, right? The settlement or what they perceive that I got paid.
Right. The perception that you just made 20 grand.
The perception. And now they're thinking, well, my God, like, where is she? Like, this thing just died and this just broke. And why didn't the inspector find that? And like, she's off, on a beach somewhere with money and having to deal with the leaking hot water heater. So it is a customer service touch base. And the whole idea is like, just to let them know, hey, like the relationship has not ended just because like you've moved in. We're not done. Like we're going to be here for you on the long run. And we actually care about your experience.
I want to highlight, I'm sorry, Cody, real quick. I want to highlight, because we talk about this all the time, because we were bantering earlier today. Cody's like, I think a lot of agents don't care. And I said, I think a lot of agents don't know. And they're so stressed and burnt out that it comes across that they don't care. I think most of them cared when they got into the business. Now they're just like beat to hell. You said something really important. You said we wanted to let the client know that the relationship actually hasn't ended. In my opinion, when they get the keys to the home, that's when the relationship actually really begins, because now it's the nurturing process.
Yeah, 100%.
you said something a little bit earlier about agent referrals, and I do want to go down that rabbit hole because I know other.
Can we do one thing before we go to agent?
Yeah. We're gonna get there. We're gonna don't you worry. I'm directing the conversation here, Vikram.
Okay.
Like you're very talkative today. So where I'm really interested is like how are you mentioned we were chatting prior to about the power community. So I'm like curious to know like what does that look like in regards to is it when you say the power community, are you talking about like what you're doing for your clients, like in regards to like creating community for your clients? Like you mentioned earlier, like a part of the referrals that are getting generated are through the client events that we do. Can you walk us through like how you're involved with your community and like what that looks like locally?
Yeah, sure. So for me, like community is two parts. There's the client community, like actually like where I live, and then we have like the agent community. And so for me, part of everything that I do, I farm my area where I live. Most of my clients are here. Most of the mailers I send are here. And so that is my larger community. And I literally legitimately care about this area. So what that looks like for me is not just being a resource for the people who are here that live here, but also I'm very passionate about supporting the local businesses. I've run small business networking groups. I have helped to mentor other business owners here in the area. I'm consistently promoting other businesses in the area. Anything that's going to help to generate support for this local community where I live is my focus. My focus is not, I want, of course, yes, I want you to call me when you have a house to sell, but my focus is I'm going to provide the highest level of value and care that I can for this community that I love genuinely. And then from that, business is going to come.
Yeah. The power of networking. We chatted about this before, about the idea that, like network, like I had an old business partner back in the day who used to say like, if you want to make a really big difference in your local community, you need to network your ass off, get involved in chamber of commerce boards. Like there's so many pillars, and like, we're all strong people here. So many pillars. There's the now business, there's the referral business, there's the pipeline business. There's so many different pillars to business. Now, when we think about pillars to business and we think about networking, you also mentioned that you're getting a lot of agent to agent referrals. How do you think those are coming to you? And how do you think that you're fostering those relationships with other agents, not just locally, but you're fostering those relationships like nationally? Like, how are they coming? And like, what are you doing? What do you think that your team is doing strategically in order to foster these relationships?
Yeah, I know exactly what we're doing. 9 years ago, I started a community called Empowering Women in Real Estate. And there are now 34, I think, thousand women in the real estate industry that are all across the US and Canada. And from that group, which started very small and started very local, it started mostly with the agents I knew in my local marketplace. We have now expanded greatly, and we have many components of that community. A podcast, yesterday was episode 254. 254. Podcasts, we have an annual conference. We do monthly meetups in 60 cities across the country. A lot of different things to support the women in our community. So I have become synonymous to these women in this community as somebody who legitimately cares and will not only because I do a great job of caring for them and teaching and mentoring them, but I will also do a great job. My team will do a great job for their clients. And so that is what enables us to get so many agent-to-agent referrals.
And a lot of people think that they have to start off where you're at, but if you create a little mini community and then that just starts to grow and grow and grow, you don't know where it's going to take you in 2 or 3 years. Like a lot of people want to start out at the top though. And unfortunately, that's not how it works. And you started this 10 years ago. Like you probably never imagined you would have 60 meetups a month and you would have 30,000 people and you would have, 254 episodes of your podcast to empower these women in real estate, right? Like that wasn't like your dream board to have this. It was just like, oh, I'm going to support my community. And then it led to another, to another, to another, to now you're here.
Yeah, if no one starts where I am, no one starts where you are. Like you have to start where you are, the person, and then you grow from there. I literally could not have envisioned this, close to 10 years ago. I started the group very selfishly because I was lonely. I was a managing broker. The agents in my office didn't want to talk to me because if they talked to me, that meant that they were having a crisis in their business and I was there to help them. Other agents in my market didn't want to talk to me because they were so afraid that I was going to try to recruit them. So here I am in a beautiful window light-filled corner office, lonely. And so I was like, let me start this group. And that's how it started.
So that's, well, kudos for doing it. How do, like, a lot of agents, people in general, like, I'm going to do some social media, right? And they commit to it for 2 weeks. They get 0 results. And then they go to I'm going to do expireds, 3 weeks of expireds, 100 calls, no results. How do we help this demographic stop chasing the shiny penny, in your opinion?
I could talk about this ad nauseum.
Well, we don't want that.
No, I know you don't. I know you don't want that. But it is about consistency. There is no thing that you can go right now and write a check for, give my credit card. I wish that there was something that I could go to and say, here, charge me for whatever, and it's going to give me the results that I want. It does not exist in our industry. There are tools and there are things that we can do that help us and help to serve what we do, but nothing does that. So you have to do it for yourself. And doing it for yourself means consistently. You have to show up consistently over and over and over again, even when you think no one's paying attention, even when you think no one is looking. I have written or posted in this group, no lie, 4 to 6 times per week, every single week for 9 years. And that is why we have grown to what we have grown today.
If you could talk to an agent, right, that is starting something, like they're trying to start some type of thing in their community, right? I'm not talking about new agents. I'm talking about agents that have been around. They're doing 10, 15, 20 transactions. So they're established. They're doing okay. But they say, Vic, Karen had all these things 10 years ago. She's $1 billion. She was already 10 years in the business. We're only 3 years. We're 1 year. We're 2 years. Right. And they have all the excuses. How would you encourage them to start something in their community, especially if they love what they do and they love their community?
Well, first of all, you have to understand why you're doing it and what your purpose is. Because if you're just starting a group because you think this is going to help you to generate money and you think this is going to help you to generate business, then you're not going to have what it takes to keep it going for the long haul. You have to be legitimately doing this because this is something that you love and feel a passion for. And you just have to put yourself out there. And I think that's where a lot of agents really struggle. They don't want to put themselves out there. They don't want to show who they truly are authentically. They don't want to be vulnerable. They don't want to talk about the transaction that went to hell in a handbasket. They don't, they want to put on the perfect image of they are or who they want people to perceive them to be. And anytime you do that, like you're not in congruence with like who you are and what you're doing. So you have to bring that together. You have to do it over and over again. And you can't assume that just because you put something out there that people saw it. We know this when we're active on social media and anything that we do. Just because I put it out there doesn't mean somebody saw it. So you have to talk about it over and over and over again. I can't just say it one time and then expect the business to come in or the referrals to come in because I mentioned it one time for like 10 seconds on my Instagram.
Totally.
It's I heard a guy named Alex Hermosi say this, and for anyone that in the real estate space that doesn't know who he is, he runs a company called acquisition.com. He says, advanced people never stop doing the basics. Yeah. And I believe that wholeheartedly, that a level of consistency when it's like, it sucks. You don't want to do it. You don't want to make your phone calls. You don't want to go to that networking event. You don't want to drive 30 minutes in order to go meet that person that could be the deal 6 months down the road. I get it. We've all been there. And Karen, like wrapping up here, if there was one piece of advice that you could give to an agent today in the market that would help them greatly in this market that we're currently in, if there was one thing, like what is the one thing that you're telling your agents right now that it's like, hey, if you just do this for an extended period of time, consistently, you will see results. Like what are you coaching your agents on right now? What should they be doing on a day in and day out basis?
You have to be in action, and you have to show your face. And whether that means showing it on social media, or even better, what that means is getting face to face with people. Real estate does not happen from our couches. And so the only way, especially when things are a little different right now than the way they were a year ago, you have to be in front of more people. You have to be active in the industry. If you don't have clients to get in front of, then go and have lunch with a vendor. Go and have coffee with, the business owner that's in your community. Go and preview. Go to brokers opens. Like you got to get around people, and you got to be immersed in it, because the more you do, the more it's going to give you, and the more it's going to fuel you, and the more content it's going to give you that then you can repurpose and regurgitate and use in a whole bunch of different ways. But if you're just sitting on your couch, scrolling through Netflix, going, the market sucks, no one's calling me, then you're going to get more of the market sucks and no one's calling me. And that's going to happen whether the market's good or bad. So you have to get out there.
I love that. Wrapping up here, if somebody would want to reach out to you, maybe it is a real estate woman and real estate woman who wants to join your Facebook group, because I would love to give that a plug as well, because there's a lot of women in real estate that, like, you are making a massive impact in across really the nation. Where can they find that, and where is the best place we can send them in order to reach you?
So I absolutely love to connect with people on my Instagram. So please message me on Instagram. I'm Karen.w.Cooper, and our group is Empowering Women in Real Estate, and it is on Facebook. And if you just mention that you heard me on the podcast, we'll make sure that we get you added right away.
Karen, want to say thank you. So much value today. I encourage everyone, if you're listening back on iTunes or Spotify, tons of key principles today that were discussed that I would encourage you to listen back a couple times to help you win in your local market today. Karen, I want to say thank you. And I want to say thank you for tuning into another episode of the Our Agent Podcast, the #1 real estate podcast in the world. We'll see you soon.